A food crisis is about to turn into a famine in the landlocked West Africa country of Niger, unless the world acts. But as each crisis shows, help usually arrives late, after the world's been shocked by pictures of starving children. Aid agencies have been pleading for early intervention in the region for 6 months, and as Africa correspondent Ginny Stein reports, they fear mass starvation is now inevitable.
The first rains have come, bringing with them hope that perhaps this year something may grow. But for many, it is already too late. In a country where life is precarious, there are fears that millions are on their way to being tipped over the edge.
From what we have registered, 50% don't have enough to eat today.
Imagine you're in Australia. There's shopping markets around you that have food. You don't have a job. You don't have any income. You're a woman alone with 7 children, because on average, every woman in Niger has 7 children. You can't grow anything. There's no rain. What do you do to put food on the table for your children?
The main factors in this crisis are drought, rising food prices and a lack of cash. In markets like this one in the town of Aguier, there is food. People just don't have the money to buy it. And what makes this crisis even more difficult than the ones before is that this time it came before the annual lean season even began.
What we feel in our bodies if we haven't eaten, you feel your stomach is empty, your intestines are empty, we can't work and you feel dizzy. Our children are sad because they don't have anything to eat, and that's what makes them cry every night.
In the village of Kadao, close to the Nigerian border, some aid has arrived, but there's not enough. Village elders have the unenviable task of deciding who are the lucky ones to get it.
What we need right now is food for us and our children to eat. The aid should be everybody, so that everybody feels better. We don't have any animals that we can take to the market to sell. Going out into the bush to find wood or something to sell isn't enough.
Women trying to raise families alone are given first preference. Between them, Rakia and Nana Aisha have 15 children. Niger is a country where polygamy is widely practiced. Rakia and Nana Aisha are married to the same man, but they haven't seen him for more than a month. He left to look for work when their food ran out. He's not come back.
The difference between now and before is when there is food, you have something to eat. When you have no food, there is only water to drink. You don't have anything in your rooms. You don't have anything in your house. That is a food crisis.
This crisis is a lot more difficult than the others in the past. It is more difficult because in the past we had little to bring to the market to sell, like animals. If we have money in our hand, we can buy food to eat. This year we don't have anything to eat and we don't have any money.
In the village of Kardo, there are fears that this food crisis is going to be the worst in living memory. 16 children have already died from lack of food. Another 40 are in care. 15% of what's normally grown was produced in the last harvest. Village Chief Umaru Lawali is far from immune to this crisis. Like everyone else here, a succession of bad seasons has seen his resources depleted.
Because I am the chief, I'm responsible for this village, and it makes me feel bad that the people in the village don't have enough to eat. The whole population does not have enough to eat. It hurts me. If I knew where to get food for them, I'd go anywhere.
He's already lost one son due to hunger.
Losing your own child, it really hurts you a lot. You have this person in your life and you lose them, and it's really painful.
Now his 2-year-old son Xanadu is sick. He's been to the clinic 3 times. Each time Xanadu has been saved, but his life remains precarious. When the harvest failed last year, Niger's government reacted quickly and called on the international community for help. It knew that without help, a major catastrophe would have no chance of being averted. If you compare and contrast Somalia to here, to the Horn of Africa crisis to here, how different?
The alarm bell was rung early here. People have lived through 2010 when the response came late. The early warning systems are in place. Early indications were there that a slow onset crisis was coming our way.
But 6 months later, the World Food Programme is still struggling to raise funds to provide food to all who need it. It's trying to make do with less than half of what it believes it needs.
We'll have to prioritise. If we don't get all of the resources we need, we're going to have to prioritise. We'll have to make some difficult decisions about who needs assistance right now to stop them slipping over the edge.
In the Horn of Africa last year, there was a rush of donor support when images of starving children began appearing. Questions were asked about why aid agencies reacted so late. This time, the warnings were sounded early, but prevention is once again proving a tougher message to sell.
A lot of the time, donors will respond when it's too late, when there are those images of children on the brink, when families are struggling, and when the crisis is already at that point. What we want to do, what Save the Children wants to do, is raise the alarm before it's too late and prevent a crisis happening.
So is it simply a case of people need to see pictures, images, video of dead children before they respond?
It's difficult to say exactly at what point people will start responding. We always hope that we can prevent the crisis happening beforehand. Now, however, what we are seeing is that the children are starting to die, and it's getting to the point where the crisis is unavoidable right now.
In villages across Niger, some emergency food aid is getting to remote villages. But this is no easy task. The lead time to get food stocks into the country can be up to a year. And it takes weeks, if not months, to get food from ports in neighbouring countries into villages across landlocked Niger.
Nous avons les vivres qui viennent de Lomé.
We have food that comes from Lom, and we have food that comes from Benin. From Lom or Benin to here, it takes more than 1 or 2 weeks. And we have some trucks where it takes 30 days by road, because the truck will break down here and there.
In recent days, Australia announced it would increase its funding to this crisis. But it's a drop in the bucket for what's needed if the cycle is ever to be broken. At $20 million, it is also significantly less than the $128 million it gave for last year's famine in the Horn of Africa. Aid agencies say if the food shortage cycle is to be broken, efforts need to be made to increase people's long-term chance at survival.
We've seen several food crises in this part of the world. We know that countries like Niger are always, at that level. They're that close to the brink, and it takes very little for families to really get pushed beyond that point. And when we are seeing children dying, it has gotten to that now. We cannot keep waiting until this point. And so what we need is longer-term funding for longer-term solutions to help prevent this thing from happening over and over again.
Niger has commanded little attention from outsiders over the years. It's hoping that in this time of crisis, the world will finally act.
Jenny Stein in Niger. And if you'd like to help, you can contact the West Africa Food Crisis Appeal on 1800 76 0011 or at savethechildren.org.au.